The assassination of Charlie Kirk, a moment caught on video and seen by millions of people around the world, shook the nation. A young father, husband, and iconic figure shot and killed in public. The murder was shocking, but then came the investigation and the arrest.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Tyler Robinson was arrested and charged with the murder, and investigators talked about all the evidence they had, including surveillance video. For prosecutors, this seemed like a very straightforward case with overwhelming evidence.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
Prosecutors seeking the death penalty upped the stakes even more. But then, something strange happened. Despite the powerful evidence made public, there was a surge of skepticism online that Tyler Robinson was just a patsy and not the real killer. But now we'll get to see and hear the evidence in a courtroom as prosecutors try to convince a judge that there's enough evidence to try Tyler Robinson for murder. The preliminary hearing will be the first opportunity for the public to judge for themselves the evidence and determine if Tyler Robinson is in fact the man responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is a huge story on different levels. Of course, first there's the politics of it. Then there's all the skepticism online about who the real killer is. But for me, it's about a big trial, and now we get to see the evidence inside a courtroom. I'm Vinny Politan. Let's investigate. No matter how you look at this case, I always come back to the fact that Charlie Kirk was a father and a husband. A father and a husband first before he's anything else. And this is a murder case. Children who don't have a father, a wife who doesn't have her husband, a family that has been impacted forever. Children whose lives are going to be so different. And that's the reality of this case. And that makes it no different than any other murder. When a loved one has been killed, the family is impacted first and foremost. But we all know Charlie Kirk was a very public person, a public figure, and he was speaking that day, and that's what he did for a living. And the thing about Charlie Kirk was he was an advocate for freedom of speech. And to me, that's why I find this particular murder so offensive as an American. The constitutional right to speak your words, whatever it is you want to say, and to be killed exercising your God-given right as an American, to me, is offensive. Well, this trial is about who's accused of doing it, and his name is Tyler Robinson. And the one fact above and beyond any other fact that makes me believe that the evidence in this case is strong, that it is in fact Tyler Robinson, is how he surrendered himself. He was convinced by his own family to surrender himself. A father convincing his son, a father convinced that his son is responsible for this crime. And this wasn't a father who was out to get his son. This is a family, and they realized what had happened here. And to me, that's very persuasive. Whether it's persuasive in a courtroom is different. For me, it's like a confirmation of the strength of the evidence in this case. But it doesn't matter what I think. Ultimately, it's going to matter what a jury thinks. But right now, it's about the evidence in front of a judge, because the judge must make the determination at this preliminary hearing about whether or not there's enough for this case to go to trial. So I'm going to take you inside the courtroom. The first witness testifying, Chris Bagley. He's a Utah Valley University police officer, or was at the time. And he's not just an officer who's investigating something. He was there that day. So he's a witness to what was happening as Charlie Kirk is being assassinated. And to understand his testimony about what he saw and what he did, I first want to show you where he was that day at the moment that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. So if you take a look, this is sort of his vantage point, only he's on the roof of this building. And if you stop it right there for a second, you can see the top of the tent. The top of that tent is where Charlie Kirk was when he was shot. Officer Bagley is on top of the roof of that building. It is this building. We're now looking at it from behind. You see the tent, and then you see the courtyard. Now, if we freeze it there for one moment and we look at the large United States flag, that is the roof where Officer Bagley was. That's where he is observing what is happening, and the tent is just below him. But he was able to see Charlie Kirk, at part of Charlie Kirk as this was happening. So I want to take you into the courtroom and let's listen to his testimony about what he observed that day in the moments that Charlie Kirk is shot and killed.
So you were securing the Hall of Flags walkway, correct?
Yes.
On the south end.
Yes.
Can you describe what you were seeing? What did you observe?
On that day, I observed Charlie going back, doing some meet and greet with some people, getting some photos taken. He then came underneath the Hall of Flags and went to his tent, and he was there answering questions and talking to individuals that would ask him questions.
The tent you're referring to, is that the tent that we see when it was set up in the courtyard?
Yeah, that white square tent.
The white top?
Yes, he was under that.
Fast forward to about 12:20 or so a little bit after noon, the noon hour. What happened? What did you see and what did you hear?
I heard an individual talking to Charlie, and I happened to kind of glance over the edge of the railing about that time. I could see the right side of Charlie's shoulder, so not his whole body, because he was underneath the tent, so I could only see probably the right side of his body. He was answering a question, kid asking him a question, and then I heard a shot fired.
Do you know what time that was?
Yes.
What time was that?
12:23.
What did you see?
At that moment, I saw him lean to the left, so
When you say him, you
Charlie.
Charlie?
Kirk. So I saw him go to the left because I could no longer see the right side of his body. So he went further underneath the tent to the north side of the tent, so left.
Okay.
Hold it there for
Can you
one
describe?
second. This is unusual, right? You've got someone who is an officer who is investigating this case, and usually you have the police officers come in and they tell us about things after the fact. But he's a witness to everything as it's happening and actually saw Charlie Kirk as he shot, and more importantly, also heard the gunshot. Let's watch some more.
Describe the reaction of others that were there?
Yeah, so then everybody started getting up and starting to run in more of a chaos kind of situation.
Before you continue, can you describe a little bit? So you mentioned Mr. Kirk was answering questions, talking to individuals.
Yes.
Were there others present?
Yes.
Any idea about approximately how many? How would you describe it in your terms?
In my terms, I'd say when I was up there looking down, I'd say there were several thousand people, because you had it on the grass. It was jam-packed in the amphitheater, sitting on the grass. You had people standing on the back up along the cement. You had people that were on the second level, the Sorensen, and over by the Woodbury building. There's another level there where a lot of people were standing and watching. So it was pretty packed,
Okay.
Several thousand people.
You mentioned you heard something. What did you hear again?
I heard a gunshot.
Okay. And can you describe you described Mr. Kirk's reaction? Was that simultaneous to hearing the gunshot?
Yes, it was.
When he fell to the left?
Yes.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd?
Yes.
What was that?
Everybody kind of got up. They all said, a lot of people were screaming, standing up, and starting to run in all different directions away from the center of the tent.
Okay. You're a police officer helping to secure the area, correct?
Yes.
What did you do?
At that moment, I recognized it as gunfire. I left my post, which was right there on the south end of the Hall of Flags. I proceeded to right where the Fugle and the Hall of Flags meet. There's some outside stairs that I.
Now look at the reality. This is a family that moved from county to county, dodging children's services to keep their kids. The mother was 15 when she married her husband.
Following the prosecution case, again, looking for the holes in where they may lie. Why would he turn himself in if he's 100% innocent and not the person depicted in those videos? Let's take a look.
I want to direct your attention to September 11th, 2025. Do you remember that day?
I do.
What happened on that day in relation to your investigation?
I spent the day at the command post with various assignments. That evening, it was about 8:30 p.m., I believe, of the 11th. I received a phone call from Sergeant Elsholz requesting that I travel to St. George.
Who is Sergeant Elsholz? What agency is Sergeant Elsholz with?
With SBI.
And he requested that you travel to St. George?
Correct.
What was the reason stated for that?
We received information that an individual was turning himself in, or was going to turn himself in to police in regard to his involvement with the incident, the shooting on UVU campus.
And I'm sorry, what time did you get that information, that call?
About 8:30 p.m.
Did you travel down to St. George?
I did.
On what day?
Of September 11th.
Where did you go once you landed in St. George?
There we were transported via ground to the Washington County Sheriff's Department.
Did you coordinate at that time with any other law enforcement agencies down in southern Utah?
Oh, we did.
You did?
We did, yeah.
What other agencies?
Well, with FBI, as we were traveling, and then along with mainly the Washington County Sheriff's Department, we also have agents with an SBI assigned to the southern Utah area. So working with them as well, just making plans and coordinating resources and manpower and personnel.
And you stated you went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
What time did you arrive there?
Probably somewhere close to midnight, maybe just a little bit before midnight of the 11th.
What happened next?
So we met several other investigators, agents, and detectives there, along with some other prosecutors. There were some federal prosecutors as well that were present. And from there, we began kind of making plans, determining how to handle the situation there.
You mentioned the reason you went down there was you had been told that an individual wanted to turn themselves in.
That's correct.
Did you observe that individual?
I did.
And where was that person at the time?
So when we arrived, we went into the room that we were in. It was one of their office, the cubicles there. On the wall, there was a television monitor where I viewed an individual on that screen that was sitting in one of the soft interview rooms. That room was equipped with audio video recording device, and so I observed him on that screen at that time.
Were you aware, or did you become aware what time that individual arrived at Washington County Sheriff's Office?
I was told he arrived there about 9 p.m. that evening.
And was he with anybody else?
He had been, he'd come there with his parents and a family friend.
Did you speak with this individual that we've been talking about?
Yes, I did.
Did you get his name?
Yes, we obtained his name and date of birth.
What was his name?
Tyler Robinson.
Did he tell you that himself?
He did.
You mentioned other individuals came there with him. And then you also said that you had kind of coordinated with the team of law enforcement officers that were there. Were those other individuals spoken with by law enforcement?
They were.
Let's go through them.
Just hold it for 1 second. As we see this wide shot, we can see the suspect watching every moment of all of this. He's not stupid. He's actually a pretty smart student, or was a smart student at one point. But he's turning himself in. He's turning himself in. Parents convinced him to do it, right? There's DNA connected to this case. There's surveillance video connected to this case. There's alleged confessions made, communications with Lance Twigg connected to this case. All the evidence is going one way. If he's a patsy, if he's set up for this, is he part of it? Is that what we think? Is that what the skeptics think here? That he's part of the whole thing? That they're using him? And who's using him? Like, how are they contacting him? It's one thing to point out things that, oh, that doesn't make sense, or I have a couple of questions about that, because everything's not always clear in a criminal trial. But I'm trying to understand, like, how it is all this evidence points to one person. All of it. Let's continue to watch.
Who, or I guess, how did that happen? Who was spoken to first of the other individuals?
So Tyler's mother was interviewed by SBI agent Holgreen and FBI agent Cox. And then kind of simultaneously, his father was being interviewed by SBI agent Terry and FBI agent Smith. And also at that time, the family friend Mike Mitchell was interviewed by other agents as well.
And you said that these interviews were being conducted simultaneously?
Yes.
Were you part of the interview with either of Tyler's parents?
Yes. Yes, myself and Agent Folger. Did I misspeak earlier? Myself and Agent Folger interviewed the mother.
All right, let's make sure the record's clear on that. So Agent Folger, what agency is he with?
With FBI.
And yourself interviewed Tyler's mother?
Yes, that's correct.
I just want to make sure the record's clear. Who interviewed Tyler's father?
Yeah, I think I might have misspoke. It was Agent Holgreen, Agent Cox that met with his father.
And then who spoke with family friend Mike Mitchell?
Agent Terry, Agent Smith.
Down in St. George, Washington County Sheriff's Office.
She gave birth nearly every year from 2008 to 2025. And when the police raided the property, they found the older kids had social media accounts.
From him on September 10th.
It was at 11 o'clock with that, like, automated message.
Okay, 11 p.m.
Yeah.
He asks you here, remember how I was engraving bullets? Was he engraving bullets before this?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but he had said he was planning to go hunting with his family. And he asked me for if we had a Dremel because he said he wanted to engrave messages on bullets. And I just told him where Dremel was, and I told him to make sure he doesn't set off a bullet on accident in the house.
Let's hold it right there for 1 second. Bullets are important here. The engravings, the etchings on the bullets, because prosecutors say that they found cartridges. The fired cartridge had an etching on it. No Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this? And then there was a second, third, and fourth cartridge that also had etchings on it. So again, prosecutors putting the pieces together. This is before all this happens. He's inscribing on some bullets, and they find bullets with the inscriptions. Like, the pieces are fitting together for prosecutors. Let's watch some more.
But I didn't really think about it until then.
How long before September 10th was this that he asked about the Dremel?
I don't remember, because he'd been talking about the hunting/camping trip for a couple months, but I don't remember when he was specifically asking to engrave the bullets. So
are we talking like a year before?
Oh no, not that long. It would have been, I'd say, at most a month before this was when he was asking.
Right. You talked about the note that he left. I want to bring this up, and I should say that these text messages that we've been looking at here are Bates number 54. Okay, the notes have been titled 16.3 with a note, and this is Bates number 58. Do you recognize that on the screen there?
Yeah.
What do you recognize it as?
That was the note under his keyboard that he was referring to in the first text of that chain.
Okay, so where did you find this?
On his desk underneath his computer keyboard.
I assume you read it.
Yeah.
And then what did you do with it after you read it?
I believe I just put it back down on the desk after I took a picture of it.
Okay. And again, the time you read it was probably around 11 o'clock or so on the 10th,
Yes.
the night of September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the most important evidence for prosecutors coming from Lance Twiggs. A note that he left under his keyboard that he took a picture of. Now, all of these notes and everything for this hearing are coming into evidence through another witness, right? Through the case agent, not through Lance Twiggs. He's authenticating them, however. And those notes, what he says there is so significant. He looks under the keyboard and the note says, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. Okay? That's the note that is left under the keyboard. Lance Twiggs says that's the first time he ever read it. And then he texts back to him, what? You're joking, right? Robinson writes back, blah, 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 blah. Then again, Lance says, you weren't the one who did it, right? Because everyone's talking about, of course, the shooting of Charlie Kirk that day. And then Tyler Robinson says, I am. I'm sorry. That's the confession. That's the alleged confession that prosecutors are going to use as evidence in this case. And it's coming straight from the defendant to his roommate / lover the night of the shooting. Let's listen to some more.
And did you ever see that again after you placed it back on his desk?
No, I don't think I did.
And that was a desk in his bedroom?
Yes.
And that's a separate bedroom than your bedroom?
Yeah.
And now I want to go to what's been titled 16.2. And do you recognize this series of messages here?
Yeah, that was the server, like his friend that I was mentioning.
Okay, and this is your phone again?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you recognize it because the big crack up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a server. Is this Discord?
Yeah, this is Discord.
And who are members of this server? I don't want names, just generally. Who are these people? Members of
this is his friend group. They played D&D together every week.
Okay. And I just want to scroll through this to make sure that you get a chance to take a look at it. Or go to the next page.
Mm-hmm. Or yes.
So Tyler Icom, who's that?
That's Tyler Robinson.
And these other people are just others that are members of the server.
Yes.
Jug, Barnaby, Marina, DM.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, like DM means Dungeon Master. So this is these are like most of them are names they're using in the game they're playing currently.
Got it. Yeah, it looks like the last text from Tyler looks like it's 8 p.m. And do you know what day this would have been? 8 p.m. on the 10th or the 11th?
I would think that would be the 11th. Because at least I think so, because I don't think on the 10th that he messaged anyone before me at like 11. So.
And he turned himself in on the 11th, right?
I thought so, yeah.
Okay. All right, so again, those messages covered from September 10th to the evening of September 11th. Now, September 11th, what time did you see Tyler on September 11th?
Yes.
When did you first see him on September 11th? So this is the day after the shooting.
Yeah, I saw him when I woke up. Like I said, he was up and around doing a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I saw him after that message where I said I'll come home and say I'm doing laundry, because I didn't want him going to my parents' house right then when he said there was probably cops outside. So I went back home, and it was just him there, and I said bye to him, and then he drove off. So I just went back to my parents' house.
So he acted erratically. Was he pacing? Was he just sitting down, relaxing?
No, he was walking around a lot.
Right, and that's within the home?
Mm-hmm.
And did he talk about what he had done?
Didn't go into detail. I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was. he started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it, and then kept going around and just doing stuff, I think, to keep himself busy or distracted or something.
Okay. Did he talk about what he was going to do next?
And eventually said that he would talk to his parents or turn himself over.
Okay. And when you left, was that how you left, understanding that he was going to turn himself in or go to his parents' house?
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be at our apartment while any of that was happening, regardless of what went down.
Okay, before he came home, had you seen the press releases, any of the media on this?
I'd seen one Instagram link a friend of mine had sent in our group chat,
Okay.
but I hadn't really looked into it at all.
And had you seen the images that were released of the suspect?
I did the next day. I don't think I saw any on the 10th.
Okay, I'm on the FBI's website. You can see the URL there at the top. This is some press release about this event. And here on the screen, you see these, looks like there's 2 rows of 3 images.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the person in these images?
I wouldn't say it with 100% certainty just because of camera quality, but that looks like him in terms of the shoes he's wearing, the sunglasses. I don't think I'd specifically seen him wearing that hat, but he was usually wearing a hat, and then jeans. So it definitely, especially the bottom, the last 2, definitely do look like him. Oh, they do look like Tyler Robinson.
And you talked about that with your friends, right? This looks like him.
Yeah, his friends. Yeah, I don't know if I talked. I don't remember if I talked about it with any of my friends. And then since I didn't have my phone after that for a while, and I still am not using social media, I don't know.
Let's hold it right there
on my
for a
friend.
He's identifying the suspect from the video. Okay. All right. Yeah. It looks like him. It's like, can he say 1,000%? No, he can't, because it's just that little bit of blur to it, right? That little bit of blur. But you hear the tone, the way he's, yeah, that's him. Like, he's my roommate. He's my lover. I know what he looks like. That's him. The shoes, the sneakers. Yeah, that's him. That's an important identification. Significant identification. Let's listen to more.
On my friend's end.
Did you and he ever talk about politics?
He did more than me. I don't really keep up with politics very much. He'd usually talk about stuff he heard on the radio on his drive to work in their work car, since it sounds like their whole crew went in the same car most of the time. But I wouldn't say super consistently, because it wasn't a topic I really contributed much on.
What about Charlie Kirk? Did you ever talk about Charlie Kirk?
I personally had never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk before specifically.
Okay. How about political issues? So did you ever talk about gender identity issues and LGBTQ rights?
No, not really. Usually if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current policies being issued or voted on, I think. But yeah.
Okay, so before that you have been?
For a short time, yes.
Okay. And I understand you're going by Luna at some point?
To some people, yeah, but not as an overall thing.
The Dremel that you talked about, you said he had asked for that, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And had he told you it was to inscribe bullets?
Yeah.
And so did you have a Dremel then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in our, our apartment, we had a section where we kept all our, random tools for household stuff in our, lower basement level pantry. So, yeah.
Okay. And did you give that to him or tell him where it was?
I just told him where it was, yeah.
I cannot say enough times that this is a strong case. Prosecutors have strong evidence. Despite some of the headlines that I'm looking at online talking about the prosecution case falling apart, disintegrating. Not sure where they're coming from with that. I know where I'm coming from. I've been covering the nation's highest profile trials for decades, longer than anyone on earth here at Court TV. So I've seen a lot. I've seen high profile cases. I've seen strong cases. I've seen weak cases. I've seen cases with holes, cases with, this is a strong case. Let's go through some of what they have. You've got a confession. You've got a confession memorialized in a text message. This is what we call direct evidence of the crime. You're not arguing, oh, this is merely a circumstantial case. No, this is a case with direct evidence also. An admission by the defendant memorialized in a text message. Prosecutors love that. And it's not even a confession that was elicited by law enforcement, like some sort of forced, coerced confession. This is a confession on the day that it happened in a text message to his lover. There's also surveillance video. This video evidence is strong. You are tracking the defendant all day long. When he's arriving on campus, each time he goes and leaves and goes and leaves. You've got timestamps. You've got him walking. You've got him walking in one set of clothes. You've got him walking in another set of clothes. You've got him walking normally. You've got him walking with this strange, stiff leg. Now, you've either got him on video or you've got his doppelganger on video. The doppelganger who, by the way, is driving almost an exact replica or an exact replica of his car. So there's that also. And also the fact that this defendant turned himself in. Like he knew, like they were closing in on him. His own father recognized the gun. His father's convincing him to turn himself in. He doesn't want to subject his family to some SWAT situation. He knows he's going to be arrested. He turns himself in. He knows the strength of the evidence. He's not out there denying it. But that's not going to stop the defense from fighting. They're going to fight back. Of course they are. They always do. Every case I've covered, the defense has done something. They don't just sit there and say, oh, I guess the evidence just looks bad. We don't have a case. No, they have an opening statement. They have a closing argument. They have a theory. They have an approach, whatever it is. And it's different in different cases. What's interesting here, though, is what will the defense do? Is the defense going to adopt the public narrative that is playing with a certain population of the public? Whether that percentage is 20, 30, 40% who think there's something else going on here, that this guy's a patsy. Will they adopt that? Kind of like what we saw in the Karen Reed case. The difference with the Karen Reed case is that the public adopted the narrative of the defense team. Here, I'm wondering if the defense team is going to adopt the narrative of the public, which has been generated through social media and other places. All right, so let's get an idea. Preliminary hearing, the defense was able to call some of their own witnesses. They decided to call a couple of witnesses from the ATF. So these are obviously people who work for the prosecution and investigation of the case, but they believe they have evidence that can help them. So first up is Caitlin Oliver, a forensic biologist for the ATF. Let's take a listen to the defense